Stereo. Make another video here. Just want to talk to you guys about a few different things. Start off with wire, the importance of doing copper versus aluminum. There's many reasons. The most important reason is heat and conductivity. So by that I mean, show you over here. I have a actual demonstration of it. So aluminum wire of the same gauge, 4 gauge to 4 gauge, doesn't carry the same amount of current. It's higher in resistance, it's higher in heat, and it is less in conductivity. So right now we've got the switch flipped over to be on copper, and we're at 14.4 volts at the battery is what this represents, the power supply. We're getting almost 1,000 watts out of the amplifier at 13.7 volts. So when I switch it over to using the actual aluminum wire, the copper clad aluminum, we drop almost 0.26 volts. But our power, that's the important part. We're at almost 1,000 watts. Now we're down to barely under 800 watts. That's significant loss in power going to your subwoofers. Alright, so this is common knowledge that you can look up online and get, a wire gauge chart. If your amplifier calls for 4 gauge and you're using aluminum wire, which is perfectly fine to do, you have to go up a gauge in wire. So if your amp calls for 4 gauge, it's calling for 4 gauge in copper. And you use aluminum wire, you now have to transport the power with 0 gauge because it doesn't supply the same amount of power. Aluminum wire in 0 gauge is the same amount of current conductivity as copper in 4 gauge. So by buying copper, you're actually going to save money in the long run. Now, let's talk about RCAs and speaker wire. So if if your amp is going to run warm and your wire is going to run warm with aluminum power wire, which like I said, there's nothing wrong with aluminum power wire. It just isn't the same. We stopped using it for a long time ago. It doesn't carry the same amount of current. Amps are getting stronger. Sundown, Tear amps, I mean, they're getting insanely strong. So it's absolutely pointless to run aluminum wire anymore. So now you get into speaker wire. If I'm running 12 gauge speaker wire into my doors for my actual speakers and I'm running aluminum wire, I need to go up. So we're looking at 10 or 8 gauge wire at that point. You can't fit that type of gauge of wire through some of these new vehicles. You're looking at Molex plugs where you've got to drill holes sometimes, or even drill and make your own grommet and boot to go from the door to the pillar. So in that case, if you're doing that, you can run the big wire. But if you're not, the customer doesn't pay for that, then you're stuck to where you need to use a smaller gauge wire that's going to carry the same amount of current. So you're looking at copper. It's always a better route. Alright, so now let's talk to you about some RCAs. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to get good RCAs. You're looking like 18 bucks for a really good set of twisted and braided, shielded Mesa RCAs to do your car. Almost all vehicles you can do with a 17-footer. Longer SUVs with third rows, we use 20 and 25 footers so we can tuck them under the panels a little better, zip tie to the main harnesses. They are a lot longer, so we use them. But so when you come in here, you can grab these, or you can upgrade to the high-end ones that are, they have a nice Tech Flex on them. They look a lot better. They're made a lot better. So here are the 3 levels. We do sell the cheaper ones too, the cheapest, but they're not braided, so you get near bigger power wire like 0 gauge, you're more likely to induce a magnetic field and pick up, resonator noise or alternator noise, I should say. So always go with something that's twisted. It's like $5 more for a good set of RCAs. It's really not worth bothering with. So with that being said, I'm talking to you about doing your own installs. let's get into something that we've been moving towards, is the knowledge part of this. We're moving into becoming a teaching facility. Once a month, we're going to have a class we're planning on. The class will be roughly $200. It's going to be 6 to 8 hour class. Once I have 8 to 10 people in the class, we'll initiate the class. I'm going to be teaching everything you need to know on basic installer, how to properly find the ground in a vehicle, how to test impedance for speakers, how to actually test and figure out polarity, how to figure out where to run through the firewall, how to properly run through the firewall, how to do quite a few things that you're going to need to know on a basic installer level to be able to do what we do in a daily basis. Not everybody wants to pay to have their stuff done, which is understandable. That's also going to give me a choice on who's doing the best in the class to look at them and possibly tap them for a job. But as for DIY, when you come in, don't just buy a radio. Don't rely on some electrical tape for your connection. First of all, it's hot behind your dash. It's hot in the summertime outside. When you get in your car and it's hot outside, first thing you do is woo and roll the windows down and turn the air conditioning on. It's even hotter behind the dash. That tape will get gummy and slide off, and then you have a short behind your radio over time from hitting bumps. Don't do that. Get a proper connection. We sell crimpers, okay? We sell all the wire connectors. We sell inline fuses. We sell everything along with all the main connectors and everything to run your system over here. And a lot of the fuse holders and stuff and the amp kits, some of them come with their own Allen keys, so you don't even need to buy them, they come with it. But this right here, I think they're like 20 bucks, 25 bucks, something like that maybe. This will save you on your install from having a shorted out radio. Don't do that. But then when you buy when you get your radio installed, you know, you want somewhere to put your
cell phone.
Possibly look into getting a magic mount. There's several to choose from. Vent, suction cup, stick on your dash. But I mean, like, it's pretty strong. I use my phone on there all the time. Now when you get to installing your speakers, you're going to be looking at getting the best sound out of your speakers possible, which goes into doing these acoustic rings, okay? So these, when you take your door panel off, you're going to notice a few things about your speakers. They may be very cheap speakers, but they're made specifically for a reason, to make those cheap speakers sound as good as possible. So you're going to notice the depth of the speaker itself looks like it's really close to your door panel. That's specifically engineered for a reason. And then you're going to notice some foam on the end of that speaker. That's actually to seal that speaker acoustically to your door so that all that sound goes through the grill on the door. That's where these come into play, because your new speakers, when you get a door pod, you get a new speaker pod and you bolt that to your door and you put your speaker on, you're going to have a space between the speaker and your door panel. So this, whether you have 6.5, a 5 1/4, a 6x9, whatever may be in your door, this is going to go on there. There's several rings, okay? So the first ring goes on the outside of the speaker and seals it to the door panel. You may have to trim it to the size so it isn't too big. Then you're going to have an internal ring that goes behind the speaker to direct all your sound backwards towards the inside of the door properly. And then you have a foam disc that goes behind the actual speaker on the outer door skin to actually absorb some of the rear wave and help with deadening. And then you can move into actually getting better with it and sound deadening and using some of the foam, like if you buy Kenwood or anything like that, you get acoustic foam that's meant for when you get your speaker, you flip that speaker over and the back where your screw holes are, you put that foam there. A lot of people don't understand what that foam is and they just toss it out. That's to help with vibration, so you don't have the plastic panel vibrating when you bolt it to your door. That panel doesn't vibrate like this from the bass resonance of the speaker. So lots of stuff to know. But when you come, we have the crimpers, we have the caps, we have connectors of all kinds. We have electrical tape to make this install look better. We have loom. So don't just look at I got a radio and I'm gonna put some tape on it. Do it right. If you're gonna do it and you're spending all this money to do it right.